This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV for Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. I'm Derek Gilbert. Topic number 5 today, the spike protein. We've heard a lot about that term a lot over the past year, but it turns out we haven't known as much about it as we thought we did. Researchers at the Salk Institute on Friday published new research in a peer-reviewed journal showing that the spike protein on the surface of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, that's the virus causing the COVID-19 pandemic, actually damages cells. Now, previously it was thought that the spike protein allowed it simply to bind with human cells, sort of acting like a key so that the virus could get inside the cell and then hijack the replication system so it could make copies of itself, burst the cell, and go forth to conquest and to conquer. Turns out that's not the case. The spike protein itself attacks the vascular system at the cellular level and damages those cells, which confirms that COVID-19 is not mainly a respiratory disease, as we've been told. It is primarily a vascular disease. It attacks the circulatory system. This is new, and it's a big deal because it helps explain a number of seemingly unconnected and sometimes dangerous complications from COVID-19. It's a good news, bad news thing. The good news is that this opens up lines of research that may result in more effective therapies for COVID-19 patients. On the other hand, 3 of the main vaccines available to us in the West, Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, stimulate the body into producing the spike protein so that our immune systems will then generate antibodies to the spike protein and then recognize an actual virus covered with spike proteins once it enters the body. And the immune system can then, ambush it and take it out before it does any damage. The problem is the spike protein itself is causing damage. And the problem is now we've got tens of millions of people who've been vaccinated with these vaccines that are prompting their bodies to create these spike proteins. Now, what does that mean long term? What is the harm? Is there harm from the spike protein floating around in the bloodstream without the virus present? We don't know. But that's kind of the point. We don't know. These vaccines have been authorized under emergency use provisions because they haven't done any long-term testing. They couldn't because they were rushed into production. These are the first mRNA vaccines that have ever been put out there. That's the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines. The AstraZeneca vaccine uses an adenovirus with a double strand of DNA inside, but they all do the same thing, tricks the body into producing the spike protein so that our immune systems will then create the antibodies. No long-term data on the potential side effects. Things like this, because again, this research was only published last Friday. Things like this are why Sharon and I have been reluctant, and now I would say resistant, to getting the vaccine, because we don't have long-term side effect data, because these things have not been around long enough. They have not been. Essentially, what's going on right now under the emergency use authorization is a wide-scale human trial. And I'm just not willing to be one of the volunteers. Just pray that those who've been vaccinated will not find 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road that there are long-term consequences for these vaccines.